Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Imperial Diecast. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I've thought of doing for many months now, which is, when it comes to diecast cars, a lot of people keep asking in YouTube comment sections where to buy them. And so today, I'll be telling you exactly where you can and should buy diecast cars, based on my own experience for the past 3.5 years of collecting. Now here's the thing. When I started collecting diecast cars, the first place where I actually bought them from is a place that you might have already known. I mean, pretty much everybody has heard of, and that is Amazon. When you're new to collecting diecast cars, you tend to usually start your collection with inexpensive models that you can readily find on the internet, which is Burago, Maisto, Welly, and so on. And these cars are available on Amazon.com. But you can also try your own local variant of Amazon. For example, Amazon DE for Germany, Amazon ES for Spain, Amazon IT for Italy, Amazon JP, I think, for Japan, and so on. And the way you'll find diecast cars on Amazon or any other online retailer is if you type in the search bar the scale of the car, for example, 118, and then the brand that you want to search for example, Lamborghini, and then you're going to find a whole bunch of different manufacturers. You're going to find Burago, Maisto, you're going to find Motormax, and sometimes you're also going to find Auto Arts. Another way of searching is to just go for the diecast manufacturing brand. So instead of typing 118 Lamborghini, you type 118 Burago. And that way you'll find all the different Buragos that are on sale. Or if you want Burago Lamborghinis, then you just type both. So 118 Burago Lamborghinis. So this is basically how you sift through these websites for the cars that you want to buy. Now the reason why I'm recommending Amazon before any other sites is, first of all, free shipping. Okay? Nobody else has that. If you buy over a certain amount directly from Amazon, I think right now it's like $30 or 30 euros, then you don't have to pay shipping. So if you buy even a single 118 scale diecast car, which costs like 35 or 40 euros, free shipping. You don't get that anywhere else. And this is all year, every single day, whenever you want. The second reason is because of their excellent return policy. They literally have the best return policy ever, because, as you know, when it comes to collecting diecast cars, they serve no other purpose than being awesome-looking display pieces. I mean, unlike RC cars, you cannot really make a move by their own. They don't have any lights, they don't have any real functionality. They're just there to look pretty and decorate your shelf, and to show everybody that you have a three-dimensional replica of a car that you like. And so, because they serve almost no other purpose than to look great, one problem that we have as diecast collectors is that when we receive a model that we buy online, we don't know what it looks like until we actually unbox it and look at it. And sometimes these models are going to have scratches on the windshield, they're going to have paint flaws, they're going to have paint bubbling, scuffs, and stuff like that. And if you're not happy with the car, and this is going to happen, unfortunately, like maybe 15 to 20% of all your purchases. So every fifth or sixth car that you purchase, you are not really going to be happy with. You want to send it back, right? And when you send it back, you do not have to pay return shipping if you're sending it back to Amazon. Not only that, but on Amazon, you also have the ability to ask for a replacement model. So they're going to actually send you another one if they have it in stock. And sometimes they will even tell you to just keep the one that you labeled as defect if it is a cheap one, for example, like a 124 scale car that only cost 15 or 20 bucks. If it's a 118 scale car that costs 35 to 40 bucks, they probably want you to send it back to them, but this has been my experience with Amazon, so if you send it back to them, you don't have to pay any return shipping, and you're going to get a replacement model. And sometimes they're even going to send you the replacement model before you have to send back yours, so that way you can actually compare both models and then send back the one that you feel has the greater amount of flaws. Now, here's the thing. When you buy from Amazon, you have to make sure that you buy directly from Amazon. Like if it's directly sold by Amazon. Only then will you get this generous return policy. Oftentimes when you're buying from Amazon, third-party retailers will be selling cars via Amazon. And if you buy from them, then you usually do have to pay return shipping when you're not happy with a car. And you'd have to contact them directly via email. So that's just something that you should be aware of. So that's Amazon. That's the reason why I'm really recommending them at first place. The problem is that Amazon really does not have a whole lot of different variety when it comes to diecast cars. And there's just so much different stuff to collect. The longer you collect, the more niche cars and highly sought after stuff you start getting interested in. Rare cars, for example, limited edition cars, etc. You won't really find them on Amazon. So when you transition from a beginner to an intermediate diecast collector, you start going after cars that you can no longer find on Amazon. So you move away from your very basic Ferraris, Porsches, Lamborghinis, etc. and more into stuff that you actually need to search in only certain places. And that's where the dedicated diecast selling stores come into play. There are websites out there that only sell diecast cars. And depending on where you live in the world, let's take a look at some of them. And if you're living in Europe, you have several different options. I'm going to start with my favorite, which is CK Model Cars. Because CK Model Cars is a website that also has a very generous return policy. If you're not happy with one of their cars, all you need to do is to just look at this part of their website, the withdrawal section, and take a look at this. This is my favorite part. It says here in the fine print, "We bear the costs of returning the goods." That's what sets CK Model Cars apart from so many other retailers. Like, they're going to tell you, if you want to send something that you don't like, you got to pay the return shipping. And the return shipping usually costs like $15, $20 and more, depending on where you live. So when the seller actually bears that return shipping cost for you, that's just great and deserves extra mention. The problem is that CK Model Cars expects you to send the defect model back before they send you the replacement model. And sometimes what has happened is that the replacement model has had more flaws than the defect model, but it's rare. But I'm just saying, that's like the sort of craziness that you have to get used to when you're collecting diecast cars. But returning to like the main topic of the video, if you look at CK Model Cars, on their main page, they're going to list all the current deals that they have, stuff that's worth looking at, highlights, and so on. And again, it depends on what you want. Do you want to buy the latest releases? Then you can find it under the news tag here. Or sometimes they're going to like tag it as highlight when they want to sell you models that are particularly reduced in price. And the cool thing about CK Model Cars, just like some other brands, is that they actually have sales a couple times a year. Usually around Christmas time, once around Black Friday, and sometime in spring as well, where they have like a site-wide 10% or 15% off. And like I said, it's not just CK Model Cars, it's also the other websites that I'm going to mention right after this one. So sometimes it's good to like subscribe to their newsletter so that you get alerted for any deals. And I'm anyway subscribed to their newsletter because even if they're not having a deal, every week they send you like a letter telling you what the new models are that they've released and whether there's any discounted models aside from the site-wide sales. But yeah, I mean, even here, like the way you search for model cars is you type in, for example, 118 Maisto, and then you look at all the cars that they have here, and you can sort these based on newest or based on price low to high, for example. And then like over here at the right, you can say, I don't want just 18 items displayed, I want 90 items displayed, so that way you don't have to like go through the pages as often. The thing is, even though this looks impressive, CK Model Cars actually has a downside, which is that they don't really stock a lot of cars compared to other dedicated diecast selling websites. CK Model Cars often runs out of stock and they don't have like certain sought after models. So this is where I recommend a much larger site to you if you're in Europe, and that is Modellissimo. So that's modellissimo.de. And unlike CK Model Cars, their website is actually pretty ancient. I mean, this is like from 15 years ago, I think. They have not really updated it, and they do have like a more modern site, but I kind of like have problems with that, registering and all that, and it's a bit slow to load, so I tend to use this old site of theirs. But it's still easy to search for stuff here, and Modellissimo, for example, has a whole bunch more Hot Wheels cars in 1/18 scale compared to CK Model Cars. Like, they have like 58 right now while I'm making this video, and you can check them all out. So if you're interested in Hot Wheels Ferraris, this is definitely the place to look for them. And again, you can search by scale, or you can search by manufacturer, or you can search by car brand. You can waste a lot of hours doing this. But I want to take you to another site. And that site is called modelcarworld.de. And the cool thing about Model Car World is that they actually host a sale every single week, or like pretty much every few days actually. The thing is, they have like different stuff on sale. Like one week it's 143 scale cars that have like a 20% reduction. Another week it's Welly as a brand that has a reduction. Another week it's just some other brand. Another week it's BOS, and so on. So it all depends on what kind of sale they're having. Otherwise, I have never seen them have like any kind of site-wide sale, but I may be wrong on that one. And another cool feature about this website is that on a lot of their cars, you actually get a 360-degree view of the model. So if you have the latest Flash Player version, you can just click on a model, and then it's going to load this 360-degree view. And this is something that the other sites do not give you. So it's always good to get like a full look on a car before deciding to buy it. Now, unlike CK Model Cars, Model Car World and Modellissimo do not have a free returns policy. However, if you ask them nicely, at least in the case of Modellissimo, they did send me a return label with which I could send it back without having to pay extra shipping. In Model Car World's case, however, it really depends on who writes back to you. Like, once I told them that one of my cars had a few flaws and they just sent me a discount code for my next purchase. But then another time when I told them that my car has flaws, they not only sent me a return label, but they also sent me a replacement model, which was great. I guess it also depends on where you live. Because I live in Europe, I think it's easy for me to send stuff back than if I were living in America, for example, or in the Far East. But let me take you to a fourth website. And that's called Modell Auto 18 or 18.de. Oh yeah, and one thing I forgot to mention, every single website that I listed right now sells more than just 1/18 scale cars. They sell 124, they sell 143, they sell 187, all kinds of scales. I've never purchased from Modell Auto 18.de. However, they do have some interesting cars as well here, which I could not find on any of the other sites. But the best feature about Modell Auto 18.de is that they actually tell you which cars can be pre-ordered, and they show you like a pre-order image. And you can find this if you go to the preview tab right here at the left. If you just go show all, they give you a list of cars that are not yet released, but you can go through them and then you can get an idea of what kind of diecast cars will be released in the next few months and get a preview image. So that's kind of cool. So this was basically for Europeans. Let's move on to a different continent. If you're living in North America, you literally have the best way to start collecting diecast cars. Because on your continent, you have 3 different brick and mortar store chains which sell diecast cars in 1/18 scale for $15 and taxes. While the rest of the world has to pay anywhere between $30 to $45 for a 1/18 scale car. So the first store chain that I want you guys as North Americans to check out is Costco's. In Costco's, a few times a year, I think at least once a year, they bring pallets full of 1/18 scale cars. I think almost all of them are Maestos and rebranded Buragos, because Burago is now owned by the same parent company as Maesto is. And these pallets are full of Maestos, all of them 1/18 scale, all of them $14.99 or $14.98. Amazing price, great way to start a collection. You got all sorts of cars there, from Lamborghinis over Ferraris, muscle cars, pickups, SUVs. It's amazing. Another store chain that does this is Sam's Club. Especially around the holiday season, starting in September, October, they stock these 1/18 scale cars for $13.99, $14.99, around that price range. Yet another store brand is called BJ's. I'm not sure if they stock 1/18s or 1/24s, but be sure to check them out as well. And if you want 1/24 scale or smaller, try your local CVS pharmacy or Walgreens, or even Walmart. If you want to buy 1/24 scale cars in Europe, try the Miller store chains. I made a separate video of finding 1/24 scale cars in your local Drogeriemarkt Müller, which you will find in the video description, so if you're from Europe, be sure to check that out as well. The website that I mentioned earlier, modelcarworld.de, has an American equivalent, and they're called AmericanExcellence.com. They're one and the same company, so if you're from the United States, check out that website. And another online retailer for North America would be Diecast Model Wholesale. So these are basically your 2 online options that I'm aware of. And now let's move on to a different part of the world, the Indian subcontinent. If you're from India, as I mentioned earlier, try amazon.co.in, but dedicated diecast model stores would be Model Art, Automania, First Cry, and of course you can always try searching for diecast cars on Flipkart and Snapdeal. Be aware that I have not had any experience shopping from any of these websites, so I'm just like listing this off Google. And if you live in East Asia, there's actually a website called Taobao, which does not really work for us in Europe or the US, because I think that website needs like an agent that does your shopping for you, so you have to like communicate to the agent what kind of a diecast car you want to buy, and then he's gonna purchase it off the site and then give you the bill and then ship it to you. But if you want to shop yourself, a website that even as Europeans can use is AliExpress. You're not really going to find any high quality diecast cars for good price on this website. However, if you're interested in 132 scale, 134, 36, 38, toy cars, flashy cars for kids, but also the occasional 124 and even 118 scale car, be sure to check out AliExpress. And finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room, eBay. eBay is the world's largest online retailer, even when it comes to diecast cars. You're going to be able to find virtually any diecast car that you're searching for on eBay. But the general rule is, if you can't find it on any of the aforementioned sites, only then go to eBay. Because the thing is that eBay has pretty high shipping costs. And you're not really going to find your cars for a great and unbeatable price on eBay. Of course, the cool thing about eBay is that they have auctions, which means that there is a chance you can find a car for a lot cheaper than its usual retail price if not enough people participate in the auction. But when searching for diecast cars on eBay, it's always a good idea to look at the refining search tools and then, for example, just select the Buy It Now cars so that you get an idea of what the retail price of the car you're looking for is available for. And then, of course, you can, for example, say, I don't want to search for any cars that are over $100. So then you just put in 100 over here as like your upper limit. And then it's just going to filter out all the results of cars that are more expensive than 100. Or if you are interested in collecting high-priced models and just want to like get rid of all the cheap stuff cluttering your search results, then of course you instead put like $100 on the low end so that all the stuff that's cheaper than that is filtered out. Either way, there's so many options that you can do to refine your search so that then you will be able to find what you're looking for in a matter of minutes instead of like half an hour and more. And the cool thing about eBay is that you can follow your sellers or the sellers that you're interested in by looking at one of their items and then clicking on the Save This Seller button right here. So what that does is it'll actually save the seller into like a list of favorites so that the next time you open eBay, you can just go directly to the seller without having to remember his name. And then when you do that, you can also check what the ratio of positive and negative feedback he has. If this guy has accumulated dozens of negative feedback over the past few months, then you should be careful buying from him. But if it's just a handful of negative reviews and a ton of positive reviews, then go ahead, you know. But yeah, I mean, otherwise you can just click on items for sale to just look at all the stuff that he has listed. And usually these are sorted after best match, which means all the people browsing his stuff will tend to look at the hottest deals that he has, and that will be at the very top. Instead, if you just want to look at the latest deals he has, then in this drop-down menu, you can select Time Newly Listed. Or you can type in 118, for example, and then just go price plus shipping lowest first. So that way, if you're interested in budget stuff, you can always go through all the good deals that he has. So that's how you search on eBay. And one more warning regarding eBay. A lot of sellers, actually most sellers that I know, accept PayPal as a valid payment method. But there are some diecast sellers out there who do not have PayPal listed as their payment method, and instead they just accept directly your credit card or a bank transfer. And I never buy from those guys because I just don't trust them, you know, because let's say something goes wrong. How will you get your money back? If you pay via PayPal, they actually have an excellent money protection system. So if like you do not get your items, if the seller does not ship the items, or if he closes shop, or if he's like a scammer or something, or if he does ship the item, but it gets lost in transit, then PayPal is actually oftentimes going to, or most of the time, going to really help you get your money back. And you don't really have that kind of high quality service with your credit card company or even your bank, because they'll be just like, oh, you should have been careful. And I've had to use PayPal's service like maybe twice in the past 5 years, and both times I got my money back. So I've only had positive experience with them. And when you're buying, PayPal does not deduct an additional amount of fees for every transaction. That only happens when you are a seller. So all the fees PayPal collects from the transaction is deducted from the seller. So you don't even have to worry about like paying extra money if you pay via PayPal. And paying via PayPal is actually pretty easy. All you need to do is create an account on PayPal and then link your credit card to them so that your credit card doesn't go directly from you to the seller on eBay, but rather via PayPal and then to the seller on eBay. So that's the security system that I use when shopping on eBay. On other diecast sites, I usually just pay directly. But on CK Mall cars, they also accept PayPal. Just a little extra info. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know that it can get really complicated with all the different stores and stuff, but as I said earlier, when you start collecting diecast cars, start your journey on Amazon because you've already had some experience in the past there. They have an excellent customer service, and you'll find most budget brands there. And if you're not happy with the car, you can send it back and ask for a replacement without any issues. Then move on to dedicated diecast stores and see if they have any deals, see if you'll find your favorite cars there. They always combine shipping, which means if you buy one car or two cars or three cars, it doesn't matter, or four cars, you're always going to just pay one amount of shipping, depending on where you live. For me in Europe, it used to be €6.70, but now they've increased it to €9.95, which kind of sucks, but whatever. It's still cheap. And only when you're like a dedicated collector who is after a certain car that you cannot find anymore because it's not manufactured anymore, and therefore you will not find it on all the aforementioned dedicated retailers, then you should go to eBay and start hunting for it there. You're probably not going to find it for a cheap price, but if you can't find it on eBay, you can't find it anywhere else. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a nice day, and stay subscribed. This is Imperial Diecast, signing out.